Heavenly Father, as we gather together this evening, we invite you here among us. Father, we ask that you, by this senseless act in Texas only yesterday, Father, I ask that you give them comfort. Father, I ask also that we as a people come together, that we might please you with our thoughts and our actions. It's in your precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've added two line items to the work session this evening. Number 10 will be downtown renovation, and number 11 will be fire department surplus. First, we've got discussed change order and estimate for Goose Pond Walking Trail extension. Mr. Mayor.
Josh, I'll let you. This is an increase from the original contract amount of $157,248. It's an additional $67,2485, and I'll let Josh explain the additional amount.
The change order is mainly for the parking lot area. The undercut of it required extra riprap and dense grade, and there was a portion of the trail that required some extra riprap. So what we did, we come back and backed out the handrail and the foundation footer for the sidewalk to try to offset some of that cost, but it increased it $6,700.
The original increase was 11, almost 12,000, but you cut some other areas to bring it down to the 6,700, right?
Correct, right.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns?
What did they bid for this project?
The bid was $157,248.
And now what's it gonna be?
$163,972 and 85 cents.
So when we took these projects off, they were in the bid, right? But we eliminated some of the projects, which reduced the amount. What's the purpose of bidding a project? Because when we took the stuff off, this is stuff they were supposed to do for that original price. But yet we took away some of the stuff, and then yet we're giving them more money. I guess I just don't. It seems like here lately, everything we do, we end up paying more. So if I were a contractor, I would bid every project the city tries to bid, and I'd do it for less than what other people are going to bid, because I know at the end I'm going to ask for more money and I'm going to get it. So I mean, I thought if you bid it, that's what you paid. You know.
Well, it's not a lump sum project. It's unit price, so that's why it varies. And they do bid the lowest because they get the job, you know, when you bid.
Well, and in the parking lot where they had to put the extra stone, when they were excavating out, they hit water.
But don't they look at those things?
Well, there was some core drilling done, but I don't know that was sufficient in that area of the parking lot.
I mean, we could have took a chance and not put this in the parking lot, but, you know, 6 months, 18 months down the road, we've been down there probably tearing it out.
Yeah. Only thing I was concerned about was, I would think if they were going to bid this project, they would do all of those things to make sure that what they were bidding was accurate, so they wouldn't lose money.
Yeah.
But in our case, it seems that's not an issue because we're going to give them extra money anyway. I just thought that if I were hiring you to build me a house and you gave me a bid on how much you build a house for, that's what I'd expect you to build a house for. And I don't know why we don't operate the same way. I'm not upset about it. I just don't understand it all. You know.
Anybody else? We'll set it on next week. Judge. Thank you. Next, we've got discuss HVAC unit at the Civic Center. Who's going to go over that for us, Mr. Mayor?
I'll let Whitney.
Okay.
We have a unit at the Civic Center that the heat exchanger went out. We got an estimate on it. The estimate was for $5,180, and that was just the heat side. So we got an estimate from 3 different companies on just replacing the unit. The lowest was from Southern for $11,449.
Do we know how old the original unit is?
I had that wrote down, but I don't have it in here. Do you remember what I told you, Mayor?
I'm wanting to say it was around 13 years old.
Yeah, it was around 2003, I think, is the year that we installed those.
Is the recommendation to replace the unit?
Yes, that's the recommendation.
Any other questions? We'll set that for next week also. Next is Municode update.
Sure. We received the proofs back from Unicode. You have in your packet the letter from them showing the substantial changes, and the first few pages of the code. It's over 300 pages long, so I didn't print all that out. I can email it. I think I sent it to Mr. Kinnemer to review to make sure everything looked good.
Have you had an opportunity?
I've read all 400 and something pages this past Saturday, Sunday, today. With very minor changes. One change I think was put in there to see if we were
Paying
looking at it,
attention.
Paying attention. They did that before in the initial draft. I think it met the requirements from the discussion that you and I and the committee and the mayor had with them earlier.
Okay. Any questions? Number 4 is discuss airport runway contract. Mr. Mayor, is that you or?
Me and Rudder.
Rudder.
Yes, sir. As you know, back in the late spring, early summer, when we bid the turnaround on the airport, it came in over budget. There's federal money and state money involved. We weren't sure we were going to be able to do the project. Rudder did a lot of phone calls and discussions with the federal folks, state folks. They did come up with some additional funding. So we, per your resolution, started forward with this project. And then we've run into a change order. The change order is requested by Wiregrass. If you read the resolution, it doesn't say anything about change orders. I know how you feel about change orders, so I wanted to bring it to your attention. The money had been reserved in our budget and what was in the airport fund for this project. We thought at the time the city was going to be paying somewhere around $28,000. Our portion of this project, that's about $650,000 total, counting federal and state money. But with the change order, it comes to $36,733. So Rudder and myself met with the new chairman of the county commission, and we had some discussions, and we feel very good that the county is going to participate in this project with the city in splitting the cost of the change order for, its true economic development. So I just wanted to, I guess if you need to act on this change order or table it or I'm not sure how y'all, the money is set aside. We're ended up supplementing the cost of this project with the county. I think they're going through their process of approving the funds. So I wanted you to know that.
Okay.
Oh, Rudder, have you got anything to add?
Good point, and we hate it too, is change orders. You know, if they're going to do the job, they ought to do it for what they bid it for. And it was an extra amount of money that they got to do this job. Then I got a call from them, and they said they couldn't finish the turnaround, that they had to go in there and dig it up, and that they, you know, it was because of all the storms we got off the hurricane. We didn't get any, you know, and I told them they didn't. And they not only said they was going to do a change order, that they had it, that the federal government in this bid allowed them to do 15% up or 15% down. And they was telling me how grateful I should be, and the mayor should be, and everybody should be, because they only went up 15%, that they really wanted to do it for $100,000. And then they said we was going to have to get the city to come up with $90,000, because the federal government wasn't going to come up with the 90,000 or the 84,000. I'm just saying 90 to round it off till spring. And then they said that wanted the mayor and I to come before the city council, get y'all to come up with a 90 for us. And we told them there was just no way we were going to do that, and that they needed to go ahead and finish the job and get the 90, you know, in the spring. And they said they couldn't do that, and I said, well, just shut the job down. You won't get a dime for what you've done, because core drilling, to find out that there was water out there where it used to be an old dump site, was not hard to come up with. They said their geologists and all said that it would pack good, but it didn't. They done a test on it after they got everything done except the asphalt. So, make a long story short, we don't have to come up with the 90,000. They're going to go ahead and finish the job, and they're going to wait on the federal government to come up with the money at the end of the job, and in March or whenever the federal government can come up with that change order money, and it's there.
Yeah.
But we just don't have to come up with it. But we don't have to come up with the matching funds. On the original bid, the matching funds was 5% city, 5% state. On the change order, there's no matching funds. It's 10%.
10%,
would have to come out with the city. So it come up to, like the mayor said, it was going to be somewhere around $38,000 or 40, say, just even out money. So we went to the county. We had a meeting out at the airport with Mike, and we explained to him about how beneficial that this airport is, not just to the city but to the county. And with everything that's coming in, you can't turn jets around down there on 4 because there's no turnaround. There's a pull-off on 2-2, but there's not on 4. We have a lot of jet traffic now. You got 60 King Airs a year and 40 jets, and those are heavy aircraft. And I myself went out there with what was that I was saying? It was a Gulfstream 3. And the pilots asked me if they could turn around down there, because we had 14 people aboard, and we were going to take off on runway 4. We couldn't go to 2-2 because with the weight that they had in there, just with the 14 people, not counting the fuel, they need a headwind. The wind was coming out of the northeast. We got to take off on runway 4. He turned that sucker around down there, and I mean, they wasn't an inch on each side to keep that airplane on the runway. And he did it, but even after he got turned around, it took 500 feet of usable runway that it was behind him. You know, runway behind you can't use. He can't put it in reverse. So we needed all the runway we get. But he hit the afterburners on that thing. We shook every wind in Scottsboro that day we left out of here. But I said that to say this: it's real beneficial what Mayor Shelton and the airport board are getting done out there right now to our long-range forecast with plants that are coming in here. You know, and with the jet traffic that we have. This has to be done, and this is something we got approved, and then they were just going to hold up on it till March, so they're not now. It's going to get done. We've talked with Mike, like I said, and he's not only the mayor and I talked to him, not just to come up with a 5% for this change order. We went ahead and asked him if he would participate in the 5% that you've got to come up with, plus the 5% on change order, which is going to split $38,000 in half instead of having $20,000 and $9,000, which would have been over $30,000 that we'd had to come up with without no help. And he's polled all the commissioners, and he said he got 100% okay with them.
So, Mr. Wheeler, these monies are already in the 2017-18 budget, correct? It would not require a budget amendment?
No, it should, when we went to the budget, $12,000 in the airport fund, and that was gonna take care of that $28,000 that we were gonna have to put up there. So we should have enough money in there to take care of that.
Plus the change order.
Plus the change order.
And with the change order and
Yeah.
what we got the commission to come up with, it's going to be less. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor.
It's gonna be less money on the city with them participating than it would have been if it'd been all out of pocket on us.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you need an authorization from us to disperse funds, or what's the action that you're requesting?
We've got the money reserved, but I want you to be aware that this project have a change order, and it was gonna
Okay.
cost more money than originally planned.
All right. Thank you, Rhoda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rod.
I'm sorry, did anybody else have any questions? Number 5 is veteran field update. Mr. Olnese, are you gonna handle that?
Yes, Jim? Come on, this is your show. In your package, you've got an analysis of a Veterans Field project. You need mine? There you go, Jim. Anyway, there's been a lot of back and forth. There has been change orders. There's been several deductions. There's been some additions. And Jim and I have talked about this we all got crossways more than once, and we were all on the same page several times, but I think overall, Jim will explain, we've come in under budget.
The summary sheet is there on the front, and the forecast is 2.11 million. The original budget approved by the council was 2.4 million. So that's a $287,000 underrun. Included in that $287,000, there's an additional $5,000 of contingency funds. So the underrun analysis, how did we save that much money? Well, $114,000 was prior to the beginning of construction and during the early phases of construction, identification of cost-saving items for elimination or modification. And there's a list of them there. One of the first things we looked at was the design of the backstop posts. Anyway, very unusual design. And that was eliminated after discussions with the fence contractor. That saved a whole bunch of money. Collectively, all of those 9 or 10 items was a savings of $114,000. $75,000 was a direct result of the aggressive approach that the team took, and I'd say the team, that's Toller Construction, CTS Excavation, the geotech engineer, and myself. When we identified problems with the soil, and we knew where there was going to be some, the contract had $94,000 as an allowance for fixing bad soil. So rather than just digging to China, and deeper you got, the more water you got.
Yeah.
We got the geotech engineer out there early in the job as we identified these places. We identified a fix. We spent some money bringing some big rock in so that we minimized the amount of digging of the bad dirt that we had to take out. And ultimately, of the $94,000, we saved $75,000 of that allowance. We did not spend it all. $35,000 was the dugout covers. The original budget had some dugout covers included in there, and those were I guess, contracted covers. Nothing fancy, but, you know, you go online and you see where people come in and they put a framework, and they put a rather simple cover over the dugouts. By getting with a fence contractor, we saved $35,000 with the covers that the fence contractor installed. The $17,000, the Scottsboro Electric Power Board did a fantastic job. What they did is saved the city a tremendous amount of money, because if that had been contracted out, the Power Board did that essentially, their contract was, or their estimate was for $94,000. They did it for like $77,000. The contractor would be at least twice that, twice that. And they were always out there, they were timely, they did the work well, and it's a real tribute to the Power Board and the folks that work there, what they have done for the city. Really want to give them a recommendation. There was contingency in the original budget that I submitted to the council. One of the things on construction contracts, even though everything is fixed, you got firm prices, you got different bids, there's changes that happen. And the reason changes that happen because you find conditions that are different from what the contract bid, or something doesn't fit right because of something else that happened. Those are part of every construction contract. That's why when I submitted the budget to the council, I had a 10% contingency on most of the items, because I knew that would happen. That's going to happen. So there was 150,000 or so of contingency, and 46,000 of that was not used. So collectively, that's an underrun of $287,000, which now then can be used by the mayor and the council to do other capital projects. That's where we are right now. The project, the second page is a summary. There's a lot of pieces in that, the total contract being only one of those pieces. 1.5 million approximately. That's about 2/3 of the 2.1, maybe 75%. The architect, the city has some items. There's some items that remain to be done on the punch list. And until those punch list items are done, then the retention is held by the city. But the facility is substantially complete. That's a term used in contract terms. The facility is usable. If we wanted to play baseball there at the city, we could. But of course, that won't be until next spring when the grass and everything is all settled. So as a contractor finishes these punch list items, once they're all finished, the architect will do a final inspection. Myself and the mayor and other city representatives will do that too before the $70-something thousand of retention money is released. So that all is remaining to be done there. Everything else is finished, and then the city will be purchasing items during the next few months, like benches for the dugouts, some equipment that's included in the budget for the concession building, things of that nature. So that's a summary of where we are. It was, I think, a very good project in the fact that there was a lot of real good teamwork. I was able to contact the mayor, and we were able to make decisions in a timely manner to keep the project moving and minimize any additional cost. Because time is money to a contractor, and when you stop the work because you're waiting on a decision, that begins to impact work, impact money, and working relationships. We didn't have any of that. And I think that's a tribute to Toller and all the folks the Power Board, all the folks that have worked on this.
Things I want to mention on the second page, under the city items, there's field equipment miscellaneous, 30,000, pavilion, 30,000. The field equipment miscellaneous is what Jim's talking about, which includes some soil conditioner they're having to purchase, benches, sand, etc. Just a lot of miscellaneous items. One thing that early on, when the city was looking to, I guess, try to get the project in line, there's a cooking pavilion with utilities that was there, and it was like $54,000 for the cooking pavilion. It was essentially eliminated as we were whittling and doing. But what we are proposing, because the project we feel like is under budget, is the city, we had looked at, instead of the one cooking pavilion being contracted out, the city with us contracting out the labor and furnishing all the materials, we could we've got a budget price to build 4 pavilions for $30,000 in this.
And that's
that is,
that's included in the.
that's
the
in that
cost.
forecast amount, yes, sir, 2.1 million.
I will say that I've been,
Sir.
I will say I've been contacted by some civic organizations that may have an interest in sponsoring a pavilion.
Sure.
There.
Once
at
we
the-
get them
at the
built, I
baseball.
think, yeah. And I want to follow up with what Jim said about the electric power board. They did, we bought the lights from Musco, and then the power board installed, and then Jim contacted Musco to come back and do their, I don't know the technical term, to make sure they're shining where they're supposed to shine. They came out, did their test, and he sent an email back, and number one, he said this park was one of the top parks, and he travels all over the southeast doing Musco lighting, one of the top parks in the southeast. And he also said the work by the electric power board was second to none, and Musco would like to contract them out. So it was, very complimentary of the facility, the complex, and their work.
Any questions or comments? Jim, I'd just like to thank you for the work that you've put into this project.
He's earned his $1 a month, I can assure you.
Well, I've enjoyed it. Anything I can do to help the city, I'm always available.
He's
Thank you,
done
Jim.
really good. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, sir.
Next, we have discussed B.B. Comer Bridge structure. You have in your packet a letter from Mr. Ball directed to Mayor Shelton requesting the piece. I assume, Mayor, that they have gone through their engineering
They have, and
process.
the last sheet in that, under his email, the State Building Commission signed off on the project this morning, and he sent me a email with that. So they have done, I think, the requirements that the council was needing prior to receiving ownership of this structure.
We'll put that on next week's agenda.
All right, thank you.
Discuss requiring liability insurance for all contractors. Is this an amendment to, this is another
Copy of
municipal's code?
Yes, sir. It's Athens.
Is this what you're suggesting we
Well,
draft as
if
part of our?
If I may, we have been, over the course of since August, been meeting with contractors and realtors and trying to get feedback. Us and Water, Sewer, Gas, and Electric Power Board have been meeting, all the building department, Josh, myself, just having some open meetings discussing what we can do to improve being a builder-friendly city. We've had 4 meetings, 2 in August, 1 in September, and 1 in October with different groups. Another one is scheduled for November. But the number one thing that it comes out of every meeting we've had, all 4, is that they feel like that the city, I guess, they just want a level playing field, all the different contractors, so that when they bid jobs, it's, I guess, a more competitive or level playing field. And the city of Scottsboro does not require general liability insurance for contractors that get a business license, whether it be plumbing, electrical, whatever it is, dirt work, etc. And so we've checked around, and we've gotten a copy of Athens requirements that when they get a business license, that they do have proof of general liability insurance. And so I'm asking y'all to consider this. This is directly from feedback from business owners here, and it's something that just protects the person they're doing the work for as much as anything. And got it here for your discussion.
Okay. I'm going to set this for the next work session. Also give us time to.
Sure.
To look at it and ask the city attorney.
Yeah.
To peruse it and give us a
Okay.
report back.
I just, if we do, or if you do take action on something like this, we'd just like to get it in place before the next calendar year rolls around when business licenses are required. Thank you.
Thank you. Discuss resolution for one-time pay raise for employees. Is this the one that we do every year, Mr. Cameron?
Yes.
Okay. So we do this every year. Anybody have any questions concerning that? We'll set that for next week's agenda. Announce vacancy on Downtown Redevelopment Authority, Ms. Phillips.
Mr. Gene Watkins has resigned from the Downtown Redevelopment Authority. His term expires October 2022. Anyone interested should apply in writing to the city clerk's office by Monday, November 27th.
We added to the agenda this evening downtown renovation. You have in your packets an explanation of change orders that were found during the downtown renovation project. Josh, you or Mr. Mayor want to kind of give us a breakdown on what the change orders were and the purpose of them?
One of the change orders was the,
Hey, Josh.
the biggest change order was the concrete sidewalk. There was more of it removed than estimated on the plans. And then the unclassified excavation was a big item, and that was due to the south entrance up here, the tree coming out, and we had to dig that out where the new drive went. That was about $8,000. The backfill, the crushed ag and the rip wrap in that was a change order. And then the curb and gutter, we replaced more of it than what was estimated on the plans. Look. And then the copper, that was a big change order on that, running the copper from the meter box to the building front. That was about $15,000 on that.
Yeah, was, if I may add, there was, 23 property owners that were affected when they replaced the meter boxes. Water department set new meters. It was still galvanized going into the building. There was a field decision made to replace it with copper. And that was, like Josh said, it was about $16,000 for the 23 different property owners.
Did I hear you say there was more sidewalk taken out than what was
Bit
original?
more on the.
How did we
Yeah.
add sidewalk to be taken out? I mean, the sidewalk was there.
Right.
I mean, I guess I don't understand that.
It's,
It was on the end.
Did they fail to measure it or what? I mean,
Well, when they did a survey, I think it come up to 6,800 square yards, and we ended up removing 7,200 square yards. So we're about 500 square yards at $13 a square yard is what we,
When we say they estimated
CDG engineers.
how much of it is CDG kicking in? Since it's their mistake. And what did we pay CDG?
I don't know, I have to go back and look.
You said a field decision, what did you say about a field decision was made or something?
when they were doing the copper lines versus galvanized,
Who made that decision?
I guess a collaborative effort between Josh and the state and
Water, sewer, and
water,
gas.
sewer, gas. I mean, we could have, that should have stopped and,
I think, water, sewer, and gas, they contributed, what was it, $30,000 to the project.
yeah.
You know, I guess since the council approves these dollars, it would have been nice if we had just been told at the time, hey, we got this problem and we're gonna have to change it. And I guess that's where it seems like we're losing a lot of our working together thing. We're the only one that seems to be left out of all this stuff. We'd just like to know.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Josh. Anybody else have any questions? And next is fire department surplus. You remember a few weeks ago, the chief had some air packs, right, Chief?
Yes, sir. I'll be as quick as I can. Last work session, I believe, we actually had 103 items. All but 11 of those were air packs. Those 11 that weren't, were just going to be disposed of as we typically do. So the question came in with the air packs and however many pieces that is. It's actually 40 units, right? And then each unit has a harness and 2 bottles, so that's why the numbers are a little different. That's why it sounds like there's a lot more than 40, but there's actually 40. So the question was brought up. I recommended that we offer these to the county volunteer departments at a significantly reduced rate, aside from retail. And the question was asked about possibly donating. So I reached out to through the email, through the world of email, in the Jackson County Volunteer Association, and asked them, if they would be interested in them and not, or how many, or what have you. I only got 4 responses, which is how many I got, so is what it is. Out of those 4, and I could tell them to you, but it's really irrelevant who they were. Hollywood, Skyline, Woodville, High Top, not to commit any of those people to anything, said they would all be willing to purchase these at $200 a unit and would like to have 5 or 10. Obviously, they all said we'd be glad to take them for nothing, too. So with that's the report I got back. I still stick with my recommendation of offering to them at a discounted rate. Partly because I don't want to decide who gets how many for nothing, and partly, frankly, because I'd like to use some of that money to put towards training our new hires that are coming up over the next year.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Anybody questions or comments?
Ain't worth fighting over.
Thank you.
We'll move to delegations. There are none. We'll move to reports. Mr. Mayor?
Just one thing, and I think Whitney did put it in your packet. Benny, I was contacted by the Bynum Foundation Friday about some adjacent property that they own next to Cedar Hill Cemetery, and they have proposed, you'll see what they've proposed in your packet, for 18 acres, offering to sell it to the city, I guess basically at a discounted price. It's something, I guess, if you're looking at future growth for Cedar Hill and working with the Bynum Foundation, it's just in here for information purposes, and then we'll proceed as y'all see fit.
This property is adjacent to Cedar Hill Cemetery,
Yes, sir.
correct?
It connects.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Mayor?
No, sir.
Ms. Butler?
I don't have anything.
Mr. Patrick Stewart?
Yeah, with Jim and the baseball fields and all that, I just want to give you my appreciation for everything that you've done, helping us through all that. And then, Yvonne, do you want to tell everybody about the state tournaments that you got, or, was it the 8, 10s, and 12s? So we already have some state tournaments lined up.
Plus several travel tournaments already scheduled.
That's
Yeah.
great.
And I want to thank Yvonne and Brian for coordinating that and getting that done, because that's gotten really competitive over the past few years, as we found out, and
They did really good.
it's good that we were able to do that and get those here, so I want to thank y'all for that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Mr. Gary Stewart?
Yeah, me too. Yvonne, y'all did a very good job on the bid packages, and I thought that turned out really well. No, just really appreciate everybody coming tonight, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Mr. Smith?
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything either. We'll stand adjourned until next week.
Hit the road.